Now the next thing we're going to do is fit the input gear. It's most important when you're looking at this, you've got the bearings pressed on right, but this bit goes to this cover here, not the other way around. You'll bugger it up completely if you do that. These are all nice and new bearings and new races. Now in here what we did was we fitted a shim. If you remember, it was they're asking for 3.15 in this manual, but we had 3.16, so we remembered that. Now in the other book, this is completely different. It says here, fit the bolts in, and then you have to adjust the shims to a pull of 2.26 kilos to 6.8 kilos, or 5 pounds to 15 pounds to pull that around. Right, so I think for now we'll put that to one side and we'll follow this one and do it with mathematics. So I'm going to put the shaft in, the gear in. We're going to locate this cover. Oh, I'm going to clean it up a bit, it's got a bit dirty. Well, hang on. I've cleaned the threads of 2 bolts. I'm going to align this up. This hole here goes with the hole here on the outside. Let's pull this camera around a bit so you can see what I'm talking about. Alright, so just going to put our finger in there, turn that around, and that should locate nicely into there. Let's put this one in here, and this one diagonally opposite here, and then we're going to progressively tighten that down. Just tap that in a bit. You can see where I put some marks underneath here. God, that nut gets everywhere. Let me tighten this down, and we'll see how loose this is. So I've tightened it down, but there's no how do we say? There's no play on that. It feels nice. There's no up and down. It feels nice, but there's no preload on it. Alright? There's no preload on that at all. So what we're going to do is take these bolts off, press the shim out, and find a thinner shim. Well, actually, it was 3mm. So that was... we need to go smaller than 3mm. So I think maybe 2.5, and then we'll work it out from there. So with this selection of shims, we're just to say under 2.5mm. We're going to pop that in. The reason is we need some end floats so we know where we're actually working from. So I'm going to select these shims. Now when you use these Ashcroft shims, put the thin ones side by side with something thicker, if you see what I mean. Don't press your bearing, because you see they're so fragile. See what I mean? Sandwich them between some thicker ones. Now, with the 2.5 in there, we've got end float that we can measure. I put 2.5mm behind the bearing, and I've got that pushed back. I had to rearrange my dial gauge, so what I'm going to do now is set that to 0, then bring it forward, and it's got 0.28, 0.29. Let's try that again, see if it's going to go back to 0. See, it's moved a bit. Got to make sure all these things are nice and tight. So let's set that to 0. 0.45. I think we can get away with that. 0.45. Right, so let's do some maths. 0.45. That's the space it is, and it says then add. Where is it now? Where's my sheet going? Oh, it's here. Add 0.05. 0.05. So let's see what that is. That's 5, 5, 0, 1. 3.05 to get the correct tension. Preload. That's it. Preload. So we've got here a selection of 3.03. I'm going to try that. It's very, very, very close. So there we go. That's lovely now. 0.05 of a millimetre isn't much at all. It's just enough to stop them banging around. Now, one of the problems is that a lot of people put these new intermediate gear, these input gears in, and just use the old shim. Well, it could be too tight or too slack. Well, you don't know. You've got to really sort of play around with them, but it's very difficult if you've got the intermediate shaft in. So I'm happy with that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put some seal around that, take all my gauges away, put the cover on, and then the next thing we'll do is the intermediate gear. Now we can put the end cover on, which again we marked up here. And where is the other mark? There's the other mark there. So we know that goes on there like that. Now there is a special bolt. It goes in the bottom here, or should it be the top? There it is. That's to hold the cable on. Now I'll put some Loctite on those bolts and spin them down. 45 Newton meters. They're 13mm heads, and this last stud here is a 15. It should be. There it is. There we go. That's that done. Now, any excess sealer, I have a little trick how I get it off. I'll let it dry and then just go around it with a wire brush, and it makes it all nice and neat like this here, you see. It makes it all nice, you know, just a little wire brush. It all comes off. You see, look, a little bit there I missed, but it all comes off and it looks neat. Right, I'm going to let that dry. In the next video we'll put the intermediate gear in.